Anita, how's your mental health?
Questionable at all times. You know this.
Yeah, how's the mental health of your children?
Also a little bit tricky. Can I tell you my experience in trying to find therapists for myself and my kids, Mel?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is how it goes. You ask around your friends and your family for a referral for somebody who's nearby. You finally find somebody who sounds like they might work for your family. You give them a call and you find out that A, they're not accepting new patients, or B, they have a huge wait list. So you start over again and you ask people if they know anybody who would be a good therapist and a good fit. Finally, you find one, you go and you meet with them and you figure out that you don't actually like them that much. But it's been so much work to find somebody who you can go to in your area that you're kind of stuck with them. Well, do you have any ideas for how to get around this?
I do, because guess what? I've actually had some therapists that I have found on my own, which involves what you're saying. Sometimes I remember one time I was like 3 hours in the bathtub on my phone looking
Yeah.
through websites. I was such a prune at the end. But I have also had the experience with working with BetterHelp. And it was like, I don't want to say too good to be true, but because it is true, but it's like amazing because I was matched with my therapist within 24 hours.
And you didn't have to go through all of that other ridiculous process of trying to find somebody. And here's the cool thing too, is if that person didn't work out for you, you can just switch and say, and it's not like you're committing to another years long search for somebody who you're going to jive with.
It's true. And I lucked out, or maybe just BetterHelp is really good at matching people together because I never had to change my therapist. I loved her. Perfect fit for me. And I know that some of our friends have used BetterHelp and they've had to change therapists, and boom, same day, you can change.
Easy peasy.
You can ghost your therapist. Get a new one.
I love this idea. BetterHelp is one of our sponsors. If you use our promo code trybetterhelp.com/WWDN, you get 10% off your first month. And we totally recommend it.
Yes, get some therapy. That's trybetterhelp.com/WWDN.
Hello, Mel.
Hello, Anita. You may wonder why I sound so strange. Well, it's because I have been super sick. And I sound like a snot mountain. This is my new voice. But never fear, Melonia's Funk is here.
Okay, so today I'm recording with Siri, apparently. So, Mel, how are you doing?
Thank you, Anita. I'm glad you asked. I have just been flat in bed all week. And it's been very annoying and boring. Sometimes I've had 20-minute increments where I can do things, like feed the dogs, but then I am just exhausted after. I have gone through 2 adult-sized Kleenex boxes, which is impressive.
Well, everybody, I'm going to put Siri in for me because obviously I sound a little bad and that's annoying to listen to. But I'm going to ask Anita how she's doing before I formulate my next Siri answer.
Mel, it's May, and May is insanely busy, and I am tired. But not from sickness, just from doing things. It's the end of the school year. So it's like between sports and band concerts and end of year performances and programs and field days and all of this stuff, I'm just like feeling like I'm running around and could really use a second set of hands. But nope, it's all me. So I'm just tired. I'm ready for school to be out, but also not, because then that means I have to take care of my kids. Blech.
Do you have summer plans for your kids?
I just, Mel, this is so funny.
I'll talk if you want me to. I
I
just
think
sound
it's
so
fine.
bad.
It's fine. Yes and no. Funny story. My 8-year-old, he had to write a book about himself. It was like all about me. There was different categories, and one of the categories was what I'm good at. And he wrote this whole page about how he's good at archery. He has never arched in his life that I'm aware of.
He's never archered.
He's never, so I sign him up for archery lessons because he's already really good at it. I don't have a great plan for the summer. But I do think that they've been getting easier as time goes on, just because my kids are getting older, and so it's not as much hands-on. You know, like I can go to the grocery store and leave them at home, and it will most likely be okay. So No, besides archery and swim lessons, I don't have a great plan.
I don't have any summer plans
No,
either.
you don't? Is summer just like this regular year to you? Like to people who don't have kids and just like have regular jobs, it's like, it's no different.
Well, I mean, I don't even have a regular job.
Okay, that's true. But it's not like your job just stops when summer begins.
It does not. But I've been teaching piano, and a lot of families go on vacations.
Oh.
And so it'll be spotty as far as that stuff goes, and then we'll have the podcast. Oh my gosh, I sound so bad. Everybody, I'm so sorry. I'm going to bring Siri back in a minute when I lose my voice. But yeah, it's funny. Every day is kind of the same for me. But also, it's different. Every single day just is different. You know?
Right. You're not a 9-to-5 kind of gal, ever.
Mm-mm.
Right.
I kind of wish I was. I think I function well that way. But I don't have the self-discipline to put all of my work into 9-to-5.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But we have some trips coming up.
Yeah, we do. That's actually what the most of my summer is going to be, is podcast stuff. So
I know. Well, and you have to use up your allotted amount of babysitting time.
childcare. Yeah.
So we have
exactly.
an announcement. Do you want to tell them?
If it's the announcement I'm thinking of, and that is that we are going to be coming to Camp Widow in San Diego.
Yep.
Mel and I both have things happening that same weekend, so we are going to come, speak, and run away as fast as we were there. So we won't have as much time to hang out and be with the people.
But we'll be there the night before, so we'll see
Yeah.
some of you. Yeah, there's this thing I do every year, and I've done it for like 6 or 7 years, and it's finally back in person, and it's in Indianapolis, and I music direct at this camp for kids, the Great American Songbook Foundation. And so it's, of course, the same weekend as Camp Widow. So thank goodness that they have a time for us to speak on Friday, July 15th at 1:30 p.m. 1?
I don't know.
Right after lunch.
Sometime, yeah. So I know a lot of our listeners are going to be there, and we're looking forward to being able to meet us, and we're looking forward to being able to meet you. And Mel and I were feeling like, how can we make this happen? So we are going to figure it out, and we'll be there and be able to meet you for a little bit, and then we'll be skedaddling as fast as we got there. I'm supposed to be going to a race the next day, so that should be fun. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yes. And then we have Australia, and that's in August. So we are going to be together a lot. Do you think we'll get a divorce?
Only if you talk to me with Siri voice.
Oh, okay. I think we've been getting along really great lately.
Okay, good.
Our marriage counseling has worked.
Can I tell you that my kids were just in the school play that happened this week, and they did a fabulous job. My one son was so funny and did such a good job, but those kids, Mel, they do not sing on tune at all. And then they just commit. I mean, they're like belting out with vibrato the wrong note.
When you're in music settings, everybody always says, like the teachers or the directors, they're just like, just whatever you are doing, commit to it, even if it's not right.
Oh, it's not right. It was not right at all.
I would not have been able to keep a straight face. That's like, that makes me laugh so much.
I think that you have to have a special skill as a person who directs elementary school plays that you have to have a poker face, because I was like cringing. But I was talking to my son about it because he had a few solo song lines, and I was like, you really have to sing, you're not getting the notes right, you have to sing the notes. And he's like, Mom, I can't be perfect, I mean, I'm just supposed to like get close. And I was like, well, actually singing is where you do sing the exact note. It's not like an estimate. It's kind of like no, really, that's what you're supposed to sing. But I could not get him to understand that it wasn't really negotiable. He was like, no, Mom, it's not like I can do it perfectly how they want me to do it. And I'm like,
so maybe after archery lessons, he'll show up to singing lessons.
That might be what we need to do. Who knows? So that's my incredibly busy, crazy day. Kept me from the Zoom calls yesterday. And Mel didn't make it because she's like a disaster of sickness and snot. So,
you guys, it's so bad. There's something going around. And I guess Anita's mom has it too. We're kind of on the same schedule for it. And yeah, it will not let up. I have never blown my nose so much in my entire life ever, and I'm really old, if you know that.
I'm really old.
Yeah, but so special thanks to our friends Eric Vandermeulen and Kelly Ford that hosted our Zoom meetings yesterday. I had stuff I was actually supposed to go to, which of course got canceled because I was sick, and just my 20 minutes of sitting up and starting the Zooms and talking to them was about all my energy would give. So I'm sorry that I didn't get to attend, but thank you so much, Eric. Thank you so much, Kelly. We really appreciate you, and I know the widows that attended are grateful as well.
Yeah, I'm thankful for you guys too. Mel was like, can you start the Zoom calls? And I'm like, I can't. I'm driving to a football game. We have football pictures. And then it was just a crazy day yesterday.
I know. I was like, I don't have a voice. It went away. So I'm like, okay, I'll drink a lot of throat coat tea. We'll see what happens. And it worked.
Good job. Also, I had a race yesterday. So I had a race and then football games. And then I had to be stage crew for the alternate cast. And then I had to watch my kids. And I was like, oh, I need a nap. So I'm going to take a nap when we're done with this, Mel. Sound good?
Yeah.
You should too.
What you just said with all you did made me need to take a nap. I'm so tired listening to you.
I know.
That was a lot.
Guys, come join us in the Widow Wives Club. It's a great place to be. It's our private Facebook community. You have to answer the questions if you want to get in. So don't get angry at us and just help us out. Thanks.
If you are not sure where to find the link to sign up on Facebook, we have an app. You can go to any app store and type in Widow We Do Now. Download our app. It's free. And the links to everything we talk about are on the app.
Yeah, so easy. Technology, I'm telling you. If you want to keep the podcast going, consider checking out our Patreon. It's patreon.com/WWDN. Patreon is just a way for listeners to support content creators like podcasters. And one of the perks, if you sign up for Widow Bestie or above, is that you get a shout out in the episodes. So we're going to do that now.
And side note, you also get ad-free episodes if you sign up at the $10 level and above. We're going to do this Patreon shout out, and I'm going to use Siri, and it's going to be amazing.
All right, we're going to change it up and go in a different order today. We're going to start with SPF 75 Wendy.
Under the banner of Valerie Packer,
Tara Wallace,
Tammy Teravest,
Sunshine Haven,
Stacy Seward,
Sarah Kennedy,
Becky the Zebra,
Peter Rukavina,
Missy Schubert,
Melissa Hancock,
Melissa Bowers,
Megan Montague,
Mary McGowan,
Marjorie Lewis,
Lori Farrington,
Lindsay Konopka. Siri wouldn't do that justice, so I feel good about that.
Laura Keeley,
Laura Bradley,
Chris Morgan,
Kevin Ferry,
Kara Scara,
Katie Radcliffe,
Karina Jacobo,
Julie Stevenson,
Jocelyn Milo,
Jenny Barrow,
Jenny Armstrong,
oh, the other sick one, my mom,
Jackie the Coil,
Ileana Bell Ruiz,
Ian Sini,
Gina Haas,
Jaya Benoit,
Gabe Lozano,
Aaron Posick,
Eric Vandermeulen, thank you,
Emily Toledo,
Diana Becker,
Deborah Westwood,
Debbie Fells,
Don Barber,
Cindy Raynaud,
Christine Anderson,
Christina Scambato,
Anna Tracy,
Vicky Spit,
Karen Cornejo,
Taylor Snyder,
Sylvia the Yarrow Tincture Shore,
Sue Golek,
Sarah Morris,
woo woo, Rachel Barbosa,
Patricia West,
Mary Catherine Anderson,
Marie Hoffman,
Leslie Webb,
Lauren Old,
Kirsten Stromberg Clausen,
Kelly Ford,
thank you, Kathy Murray,
Jenny Wong,
Jennifer E. Hassel,
Jennifer Brown,
Jennifer Beal,
Jenny Taylor,
Jean Marie Massey.
Dennis the Fitted Sheet Brazo,
It's like the worst mob name. Not a Debbie Downer.
Danielle Catterberg,
Cindy Wilkerson,
Christina Shiflett,
Judy Malkin,
Brittany Pedro,
Chris Steffen,
Barbara Schneeberger,
Ashley Hahn,
Amy Sapp,
Amy Neal,
Amy Hartman Martell,
Amber Vela,
Sam Finlayson,
Maya Glasser,
Krista Wade,
Kat,
Yvonne the Meisner,
Gail Bell,
Don Satterwhite,
David Kelly.
Constance the Ground Duty Dahlbeck.
And to end things off today, we're gonna start. We're gonna end with our secret dead husband, and to her, we say, Oh, we're halfway there. Oh, widows living on a prayer.
Oh my gosh.
We could basically form a band of widow cover songs.
And you could be the lead singer.
People would not pay to, but I would commit, just like the elementary school children.
Hey man, that Bob Dylan, worst voice ever, and he committed.
He committed. Thank you to everybody who supports us on Patreon. It really helps us to keep the podcast going. If you want to help us go to Australia, then buy us some Tim Tams instead of tacos at buymeacoffee.com/widow we do now. And if neither of those things works for you, how about you just give us a rating and review? It's my birthday next week, and that's what I want for my birthday from all of you, is a nice rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Will you please do it for me? Thank you. I don't ask that much.
It's true, that's all she wants.
It's all I want. Should we get to the episode? Mel, Alexa? I just woke my Alexa up.
Yes, Anita. Let's do it.
I'm Anita.
I'm Mel.
And we're two young widows / robots.
Ha ha ha.
Trying to figure out widow
We
do
now.
This episode is sponsored by the Misner Family Foundation in memory of Elisabeth Misner.
Sometimes we assume that unless we had a huge life insurance payout, we don't really need to know anything about investments or even finances. But guess what? A little knowledge of finances is critical for all of us. Maybe your partner was in charge of that stuff, and now you find yourself making all the decisions. Maybe you're mad about that. Maybe I am. Nicole from the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast is here to help. She tackles financial literacy by telling the stories of women and widows and finance experts, and shares the lessons they've learned as certified financial planners. Whether you know a lot and feel confident in your financial decisions or feel unsure about all of that stuff, there is more to learn. Listen and subscribe to the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast on all podcast platforms. This ad was paid for by Rockhouse Financial, an SEC registered investment advisor. Mel, guess what?
What?
We have a special guest today.
What? Say what?
I know. It's an exciting day. We've been waiting for it for years, at least 17 years.
Wow, because I've only known you for like 3. So I'm really curious.
Maybe I exaggerate.
Is it Paul McCartney?
Yes, it is.
Welcome, Paul.
Hi.
The jig is up. This is Jen Hoffmeister, which is like almost Paul McCartney, except for probably opposite in every single way.
And she's in Canada, I hear.
Yeah, I am in Canada, Toronto.
Jen, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We're excited to talk to you and hear a little bit more about your story.
Sorry that you have a story.
I know, right?
Yeah. So, Jen, you're a podcaster also, right?
I am.
What's the name of your podcast?
It's the Now What Pod. And similar to how you ladies started this after your big life-changing experience, that's kind of why my co-host and I started, except she's not really in our club. She's in the Cancer Survivor Club.
She's in a different club. You know, sometimes the clubs can get together. There can be some intramurals.
Yeah, it's like there's not inbreeding.
That's kind of like what we kind of learned throughout our experiences is that you don't have to be in the same club to still really be able to see and hear and support someone else.
That's really cool. Tell us about your co-host.
Her name is Tisha Gibbon, and we are like friends that met in Mama and Baby Yoga. And yeah, it's crazy. Our kids are like weeks apart. Both of our kids are like weeks apart from each other. And we were mom friends. We'd see each other socially sometimes. And then when Tisha got her cancer diagnosis, I was a stay-at-home mom, and we had a day that coincided that we had childcare for our 3-year-olds, and we would go to breakfast every week. And it started as something really for her, and it turned into something that was really beneficial to both of us. And we talked about starting a podcast on like simplifying motherhood or something. That was our original idea.
You guys just complicated motherhood.
Right?
with
Well,
death
I
and
think we were.
cancer.
Well, she had already done the cancer. She had already done the cancer. She was like dealing with it. She had taken a leave from work. And then I think we recorded an intro. Like, I don't even know. And then that summer, Warren died. And then, I don't know, 6 or 8 months later, I was like, we got to go back to this. And she was like, yes, but it needs to be something different.
So this Warren dude, who is he? How did you meet him? Where did he come from?
He is from Canada, from the Toronto area. So I grew up outside of Boston, went to prep school, as many do, went away to a private university, and then got a job in advertising in the Boston area. This was like when the dot-coms were booming, and then all of a sudden they busted, and I got laid off. So I went back to graduate school in media arts, and that offered me the opportunity to do a semester in Los Angeles, where I got a taste of like the film life, studios, production, all of that stuff, and decided that's what I wanted to do. So then I moved to LA and worked in film, and the producer I was working for got the opportunity to direct his first feature, which was up here in Toronto. Super low budget. They weren't going to bring me. And I had to basically say, I will quit if you don't bring me, because I'm not going to have some Canadian idiot calling me because you won't let them do anything. Because not all Canadians are idiots, but I was like I'm like, some stupid assistant who's not me is not doing my job for you while I sit here picking my nose in the office.
Yeah, because that's obviously what you do when you don't have anything to do. Pick your nose.
I was in the back corner of the office. Yes, I pick my nose and watch movies.
Yeah, nobody can see that you're picking your nose. Just don't eat
Nope. Even if I were to, nobody would know. So he made it happen. I came up here, and while we were still in prep before we started shooting, I mean, I guess I met Warren in the office. To be honest, I do not remember that.
Memorable.
Well, no, but what is memorable, what I remember, and what was like the more like formative memory, is he was the special effects coordinator, and it was a movie called, at the time, the working title was Windshield Wiper Man. Very interesting title of a movie, for sure. So you might imagine there's rain in this movie. And so we were shooting on this sunny day in the suburb of Toronto, and they put up some rain towers and turned them on, and like in camera, it was like a rainy day and it was sunny behind us, and it was like that classic movie magic. And I was like, that's so cool. And he was like, it's only 2 rain towers. Like it was lame rain, apparently, for an effects guy. And I was like, cool, okay, well, yeah, I'm a noob. But we would talk on set and everything, and we worked a lot of late Friday nights in the film industry. They like to call them Fraturdays, because it's Saturday when you're done. And I remember one of those nights, and it was the summer, and there's this phenomenon here, and it was like that in Massachusetts, but it's even more intense here. People like, I envision what it's like in New York in the summer. Like everybody leaves and goes to their cottage. They call them cottages here. Everybody is out of town on the weekend. And I was here on this low budget movie. So I was like the only junior level person on this movie. Typically a show out of town is like summer camp. But it was all a bunch of like older dudes. And it's like, I'm not hanging out with them all the time. So I remember we were talking about a movie one Friday night, and I was like, oh, if you're around this weekend, we should go see it. And he was like, I got that script to read. This is what he tells me. And I worked in development. So in development, a script takes, if it's 90 pages, it takes about 90 minutes to 2 hours to read. And I was like, oh, cool. So your whole weekend, you're reading a script. Nice. And then one of the guys that worked for him was like, you're such an asshole. She was totally hitting on you. And I wasn't hitting on him. I just was like sick of going to the movies by myself. And he was nice, and like, I mean, I was open to the possibility, but I wasn't like, come on. And so, I don't know, finally that Labor Day on that show, I think we had the Tuesday off because we were shifting our work week, and I was back. I had gone home to Boston for the weekend, and I got back on Labor Day. And I think on Tuesday, I was like, if you're around, do you want to get a drink? And so we went to this oyster place, and like, no joke, the man drank 12 beers.
And that's when you knew he was Canadian.
Yeah. Well, he smoked at that point, and like we were sitting at the bar at this oyster place, and he would get up to go smoke, and the bartender at one point was like, does he have a hollow leg? And I was like, I have no idea.
This sounds like you guys did not make movie magic right at the beginning. You only had 2 rain towers in the beginning of your relationship.
It was super lame. He made up for it with 12 beers, I guess. I don't know.
So that was impressive to you, and you were like, oh, I need to know more.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. He made me laugh. He was a goof.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we had fun, and like kind of just after that night, I noticed like he was around more because he was part-time on the show because it was a drama. Like there was rain and stuff, but there was not a lot of effects work. But he would like show up places, and I was like, what's going on here? It just became something really quickly. And then the show was over, and it was like, well, what are we going to do now? And so we decided to do long distance. And that was really freaking hard. About a year in, I got a job up here. So I was able to get another work permit. And it was a year-long permit and job. And so I stayed. For that year, I lived with him. Like, we could kind of see, like, is this, like, a real thing? And then at the end of that, he proposed. 10 months later, we got married.
Wait,
2 years later, we had our first.
Did you say 10 minutes later?
No,
10
months.
Oh, I thought you said 10 minutes, and I was like...
You know, he surprised me at my folks' house with a ring, and my sister was like, yep, the wedding's happening right now.
10 months seems more reasonable, but...
Yeah. And, 2 years after that, we had our first, and almost 3 years later, we had our second. You know, we were doing the things you do. You know, he was working. Once I got pregnant, I stopped working in film just because production especially is not super friendly when you are pregnant, and just, it's not family friendly. And his hours were such that it made sense to have someone at home with the kids. And then in the summer of 2019, the boys and I were getting ready to go to this beach. It's like an hour east of us. It's a lovely beach on the lake. I am a coastal girl. I love the ocean. Lake beaches aren't real to me, but this one feels real. I enjoy them. I will take what I can get, but it's less impressive. This one is pretty beautiful. We were just getting ready to go to the beach, and the boys were like, come on, Daddy, forget work, come with us. And he's like, I got to flip a car, guys, which is like what he did. And he was, working on the TV show Titans at the time, and they've been doing a lot of that. We get to the beach, and I remember that, like, I don't know, he was shooting out there the summer before or something. I was like, oh, what's that pizza place? Like, we'll stop there on our way home, I think, from the beach. And he's like, I gotta go, Jen. I'm flipping a car. And I was like, oh, yeah, go do that.
As one does.
Right, as one does. Like, it sounds so weird, and, like, of course that's dangerous, but, like, it wasn't to us. It was just, I had a video from them doing it the night before on my phone. 20 minutes or so later, I get a call from one of his guys, assuming he was actually calling me because he was like, can you just tell Jen the name of that stupid pizza place you guys liked? And telling me there was an accident. At first, I was, like, really put off about it because I was like... Of course, like, whatever. What does he have to, is it something he has to go to the hospital? Is that why you're calling me? Like, he's fine, right? Like, just didn't even, and I don't know what he said. I don't know if it was something, if he said something like he got hit in the head or like there was a lot of blood or whatever. And it was like, all of a sudden I was like, this is serious. We had just been set up. The boys just got in the water. It was an hour drive back to the city. So like they were 4 and 6. So, getting them, like, changed and, like, why are we leaving? And, like, I don't understand. And me, like, trying to figure out, like, am I supposed to go to a hospital with these 2 boys? Like, what is happening? And nobody's really telling me anything. And so somewhere while we were driving home, he did actually die. Nobody told me until I got to my friend's house. As I'm sure, like, you don't, like, you kind of remember, but you don't really remember. And, like, you have those moments where, like, your body remembers and you can, like, feel it. But I do very distinctly remember having Scooby-Doo on the TVs in the back of the car, super thankful I had those things, and that I could like put the sound all the way in the back and turn it up and like talk on my phone while I was driving. But I just remember sitting there saying to myself, I'm not going to be a widow. I'm not going to, and like even saying that felt like psychotic to me.
Yeah. So he did not die immediately, and they, like, when they called you, they just knew he was injured seriously, and then you were trying to go figure out what had happened?
He was out. He was unconscious. Like according to the doctor, they might have kept his heart beating or whatever, but he was not. It was never like he didn't feel any pain. I mean, he took a blow to the head. So basically, the rig that they were using to flip this vehicle, I don't know if it exploded or failed in some way. He was like 85 feet away.
Wow.
He was Mr. Safe.
What?
Yeah, he was really like, he was the safe guy in town. He would shut down a set if he just had like the whisper or a feeling that something wasn't okay. And even like closer to like when it all happened, I remember one of my boys being like, "Why was Daddy standing there?" And I'm like, "Daddy was standing there because it was safe. He wouldn't have been standing there if it wasn't safe." So a piece of the rig, like, just he took a blow, like a very high speed because of the pressure you need to flip a car, and it hit him in the head.
It sounds like super freak accident that you wouldn't anticipate happening.
Like 85 feet away? Jeez.
Also, this is also foreign. Like, you know, he's flipping a car.
Well, I know. I say that it's like flipping cars, and like people are always like, "Well, of course, that's dangerous," and it's like, but it's not, or it just wasn't to us.
And he wasn't in the car. It's not like he was.
No,
he just was making the car.
He was. Yeah,
flip.
We know stunt guys. He wasn't a stunt guy. He, made that kind of stuff happen or directed the people to do it. Something that's really interesting that just came up because the Ministry of Labor here, because it happened at work, had to do a whole investigation.
Right.
And they finally found, I haven't read the report, I probably won't, but they did find that it was not accidental, that it was like negligence, I guess.
Whoa.
Yeah, which...
What year did this happen?
2019, July.
How old were you when this happened?
I was 42.
How old was Warren?
He was 45. I feel like that ticking time bomb of like next to March, I will like pass how old he was. And there's something about that I have a real problem with. I thought I messed up the timing, and I thought that he was 44, almost 45. So I thought it was this March. So I'm thankful that I guess I have more time to like dread it coming. I don't know.
So Jason's birthday is in just a couple days, and I was like, how old are you? And I like could not remember. So then I was like, counting on my fingers, and I was like, that's stupid that I can't even remember how old you're supposed to be because you're dead now. But
I feel a little bit okay when I can't, because for his 45th birthday, I had this set designer who we work with. She makes beautiful baked goods and stuff, and she made him this pie with a portrait of his face on it.
Oh, wow.
And a pie-trit, I guess she calls them. But she put they look like little like flowers or swirls, and they're supposed to be fireworks. And she texted me, she's like, how old is he going to be? And I think I said like 44 initially, and then I checked, I was like, no, it's 45. She's like, Jen, because she put 45 fireworks around him. Yeah, so he was alive and I messed it up. So if I mess it up, I don't feel bad.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you have always had a hard time keeping track of that, and it's not just...
I remember the day. That's really what matters once you're older, right?
Yeah, totally.
So your boys were 4 and 6 when this happened, right?
Yes.
How did that all go? How did you tell them?
So they were at a friend's house. They were a couple, very good friends of mine. They both happened to be home that day. The husband took the boys and was playing downstairs, and one of Warren's business partners came and told me, and I still don't know how they did not hear me scream, but they didn't come upstairs, and we left, and he took me to the hospital. And leaving, I felt like I was lying to them because I wasn't telling them. And I don't lie to them unless it's about like Chuck E. Cheese being maybe closed because of COVID. But no, just as a general rule, like a bit about the big things, I don't lie to them. I don't keep things from them if I don't have to. So that was really hard. And I am fortunate enough that it feels so weird to say, but another film friend, her husband died from cancer 7 weeks earlier. She called me when I was at the hospital and just like screamed, F into the phone. Like this is not like this happened to me, so it wasn't supposed to happen to other people close to me, which I so resonate with that feeling now. And she actually had been working with someone called, I don't know if they have them back home, a child life specialist.
Yeah, they do.
And so we live in like different parts of Ontario. So this isn't somebody this person specifically I wouldn't have been put in contact with. But Erin had her call me. So I was able to talk to her as it related to telling my boys because I was really just nervous about how to do that.
I can't imagine why. I mean, it's like a simple conversation. Hi, boys, dad's
Super
dead.
simple.
Yeah, like no big deal.
Yeah.
I'm curious what the child life specialist, what advice he or she gave to you.
She just was like, just be very simple and direct. She advised in the case of Warren's accident, because when you talk about a blow to the head, like a kid can and our kids watch all kinds of movies, like they see things that most people would probably deem not appropriate for their age, but like it's all fake. Kids just have imagination. So she advised against like highlighting that. They did hear me say something about him being hit in the head. So even if like they did remember that, but she just said keep it simple. Don't use like passed away or like don't soften it the way that we just do because people are uncomfortable with it. And I was like, there's always accidents, and sometimes they're big accidents and sometimes they're small accidents. And Daddy was in a really big accident and it made his heart stop working.
What was their response like?
So Logan, he was 6 at the time, almost 7. He like melted down. Wyatt laughed. And then like he was 4, he just turned 4. He kind of laughed. And then when Logan was like inconsolable, he kind of got it a little bit more, but then was like, I want to go outside and play, because it was summer and they were at our friend's house and they were playing with their friends and they were playing with their friends' neighbors, and so he just wanted to go do that. And so I let him, and Logan and I sat there for a while, and he calmed down and he then wanted to go out and play. And it was like, easy is the wrong word, but it was just so like cut and dried, I guess, because they're kids and they just want to go back to the business of being kids, and their understanding of this, it just changes at every age and stage and all the time. And like, I don't know that they understood that he was dead and he wasn't coming back. Their understanding of what that means for them and to them and everything is constantly evolving, because sometimes when they're little, they don't get it and they think that they're coming back. And that's why she was very much like, you have to be direct and clear when you say things like passed away or is in a better place. That's so, a kid can't understand. I mean, I don't know. I can't even understand that, and I feel like people do pass away when they fall asleep and die, or like they die peacefully. He did not pass away.
So I think it's a very normal experience. All the parents we talk to, they tell a similar story. Their kids are like, and then they're like, all right, well, see you later. I'm going to go keep doing my kid thing. And I think as parents, it can be somewhat confusing and disconcerting, and you almost worry that they're not responding correctly in quotation marks, because you're like, that's weird that they seem to be fine with it. I don't know if that's the right words either, but they do it just so differently than adults do.
I've never really like subscribed to what is like the correct way to handle something, even though I was very uncomfortable, as I think most of us are until we've gone through a death, uncomfortable with the idea of death and loss and stuff. So I guess I didn't feel that. I was nervous that maybe they didn't really get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we had this moment, and I was remembered of it the other day. I live on a cul-de-sac. Our neighbors are amazing. one of the men wanted to come and install like a timer on our front light because we were going to go down to my folks or something. And this was like within 2 weeks or something. And I was laying with Wyatt up in bed. I don't know why my mom decided, or they decided that like at the kids' bedtime was the right time to do this, but comes into the house and we hear a man's voice upstairs. And Wyatt was like, "Daddy?" Because that would happen sometimes at bedtime specifically. And I mean, obviously no one's intention to do any of that, but it was just like this gut punch.
You mentioned that you're from Boston and you're living in Toronto. So after Warren died, did you get a lot of, are you coming home? Are you going to go back to your parents' house? Like, you need to go back to from whence you cometh?
My family didn't say anything because they know that I'm just not amenable to their thoughts on things.
That's a nice way of saying that. Okay.
Not always, but they just knew that wasn't the thing to ask. Mm-hmm. You know, my mom basically moved in and stayed with us for like 2 or 3 months. And so she would take the boys to stuff because like I didn't really want to go places. Like, I organized a mom's group in this neighborhood. I'm very social. I was involved at the daycare, like on the board. I just know a lot of people in our part of Toronto. And I joke that like I was getting ready to go to like one of the boys' baseball games and I put on a baseball cap and sunglasses. I'm like, I'm acting like I'm J-Lo just because I don't want somebody to talk to me. Because I just didn't want oh, I'm so sorry. And that, like, I didn't want that at, like, the boys' baseball. It's like, this is about them. It's not about me. So I didn't go many places. So my mom, when she would bring the boys to, like, play dates or swim things or whatever, people would ask her. And my mom would be like, I don't even know that that's the right choice for her and for them. We have more in-person support in a closer radius here than we would if I went home.
Yeah. Do you think it's interesting, though, how when you sustain loss, it's almost like you revert to being a child and people think that they get to tell you what to do or they get to have an opinion about what's best for you?
Oh, yeah. And it continues. It's not even just in that time.
Yeah. Like, you need to do this for your kids, or you need to move here, or you need to do this, and you need to travel, you need to take a vacation as a family, or you don't need to take a vacation, or you need to keep things stable so your kids have stability, or you need to uproot and you need to go somewhere else. It's like everybody has a different opinion about what you should do.
As a non-parent, it makes me mad for my parent friends when people say to them, you need to remember that you have kids, so you have to get up for them. It's like, you guys don't know that. Does that, like, piss you off? Are you like, seriously? Like, what is it like for you when people tell you that stuff?
For the most part, I think I've been lucky that people don't. And I was very vocal that, like, all that matters is that the kids are okay. And, like, so that was my thing very early on. Like, we were in family therapy within a month. Logan had his own therapist within a month. Once I got that, then I found somebody for me. I think, again, most of my friends, like, I am really strong-willed. I'm a classic Taurus, stubborn, strong-willed. I don't take it.
So they're scared of you.
Yeah, I don't take unsolicited. They might be. I'm really a softie, but like if I have a strong opinion on something, it's like I'm going to express it, and I don't take unsolicited advice very well. So I didn't get a lot of it.
Good. I think that's a good skill to be like born with for widowhood.
It's true. For parenthood too, I would say, actually, because I feel like also as a mother, you're getting a lot of that anyway, like from parents who my parents weren't so bad, but maybe like in-laws or aunts and uncles who are like, well, I've raised so many kids. It's like, cool, you haven't raised this kid.
Do you ever say, would you like to? Because I feel like that all the time. I'm offering.
Anita actually offers up her kids to our friends.
Oh, yeah.
Random widow friends. In Canada, I'd like to say.
So, Jen, I have a question that's kind of down to the nuts and bolts of what happened. There had to be an investigation. And how long did it take before you actually even knew what happened?
As far as what actually happened, I only got like a recounting from the doctor's version of things, and then the few people that were there that day. I don't remember when I got the autopsy, the official autopsy, because there had to be all that too because of the investigation.
Yeah.
Opened that up and read that. That was the worst idea ever. There was no need for me to do that. I don't know what I was thinking. That was sometime, I want to say sometime in 2020. And then, but because I think of COVID, the Ministry of Transportation's investigation took a lot longer. I didn't really have to have anything to do with that. It doesn't affect me at all. I believe because of the ruling, there are some fines that are being levied, but because of other things, I don't have to worry about any of that.
So that was the second part of my question is do you feel any anger, or where do you place those feelings? Do you feel like it's somebody's fault and so you can place your anger? I mean, almost sometimes I feel like that's easier when there's somebody to be angry at, as opposed to just being like, I don't know, there's nobody to be mad at.
Well, I think, and again, I didn't read the report. I don't know the details, but I think it was probably the company as a whole that was found to be negligent. Literally the only thing that brings me the teeniest bit of solace on this, he was the guy in charge. He wouldn't have survived if it had happened to someone else.
Because he would have felt responsible.
The amount of weight that he would have put on himself because of that, like, there's no version that he would have been okay.
So because there was negligence, is there going to be some sort of lawsuit? Like, do you have to take part in any sort of legal anything?
No, I can't actually, because there is an organization here in, I don't know if it's all in Canada or if it's just Ontario. I'm not a very good resident of the country because I don't know how things work, called the Workplace Safety and Insurance Board, WSIB. And so I I get money from them monthly until I die. Because I accepted that, though, I can't sue anybody or anything. In the beginning, people were like, sue Warner Brothers, because they put out Titans, and it's like, I mean, I worked in that business, I'm not doing that. I think even my father, though, he was of the mind, maybe that's what we need to do, but there's all the way film production is run is so different from any other business. My dad is a very savvy man and a businessman and all of this, and it took him a while to sift through the workings of everything and who's responsible for what and all of it, and it made the whole thing very difficult.
Jen, when did you start your podcast? What year?
We just had our year anniversary last week.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to say, dealing with grief and putting on a podcast, everything that goes along with it, it is a lot of work. So props to you guys and congrats. That's really great.
Thank you. Yeah, there are days that it's you don't have the benefit of lack of capacity if you're supposed to release an episode.
Oh, we do it. We're like, eh.
I mean, you can, but I think also being beholden to someone else who, you know what I mean, has a different journey and perspective on things. I feel like I'm in an interesting position in the podcast because I was an assistant to producers and directors, and so I set meetings and did all that. I am the creative now. And I like that a lot better.
So, Jen, we talked a little bit about how, you became a widow. You've got 2 little boys. And then what happens? COVID. And you go into lockdown. How was that?
I don't even know where to start. There's an element of the initial isolation period of COVID that, while the unknown of it was a little bit triggering for me, being just the three of us, I think was good for us because, he died and 6 weeks later the kids were back in school and we were kind of back doing the things. So to kind of have that forced downtime was definitely good. And then, every place is different. Here in Toronto, when it came time, like the kids were sent home from school, they were supposed, like they were given online work, but it wasn't mandatory. So I was like, screw that, we're not doing that. And we were very lucky that our principal even sent a note out saying, like, the most important thing is the health and safety of you and your family. These are learning opportunities, and that's what they are, opportunities. There's nothing mandatory about this. Because I do know parents that would need that kind of like reminder. Because otherwise they'd be like, you have to do it. Like, we didn't do it. I mean, we did the first day, and then I was like, I'm not doing
Third grade is done. Or grade 3 in Canada, or whatever grade they were in.
That's right.
Yes.
Actually, it was grade 2, but it was it was junior kindergarten too. It was like my little guy's kindergarten. It's like, I'm not a kindergarten teacher. So we didn't do that, and that was fine. And then, but when it came time to go back to school in September, we had a choice to make about whether you wanted to send them in person or you wanted them to do virtual. You got to pick. And that, at that point, I was getting really burnt out, being alone with kids all the time. Even though, like, it was summer, we were able to be outside, we were seeing people, like, there was a semblance of normalcy. But making that decision and realizing, holy crap, like, there is not one other human on the planet that gets these boys and loves them the way I do. And like anybody else that I would ask for advice on those kinds of decisions, they have their own experience, which is not our experience, coloring it, and they might be considering me. Or, like and it's not for lack of loving us, it's not for any of that, but it's not the same way that a parent and a partner would.
I totally feel you on that, because there's so many decisions, big and small, where you're just like, I need the person who their entire existence is for the well-being of these children, and my parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, of course they love my kids, but they also have their own things that they're taking care of, and like you said, their own experiences to color their opinions, and it's just like, I just want my person. I just want the person who we were in this together to help me figure this out, because this is uncharted, like all of it. It's just like one uncharted thing on top of another on top of another. It's a cruel joke.
Like, being a parent isn't hard enough to wade through, but at least people have survived it before. This is like a whole other thing, and it's just all of it from vaccines of it all. And when we technically were allowed to travel because we all have US passports to the US the whole time, but for the better part of it, we'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks upon our return, and it was like, I'm not doing that again. And like, so just like making those decisions and like what is best for us, and not having anybody to do it. And then when you add in like the polarizingness of like vaccines and all of like whole thing, and just this idea of like safety.
Yeah, for sure.
Because for us, he was doing something that was safe. He was supposed to be safe. He was just at work. So now, like, seeing their grandparents could be unsafe. And then now you have this thing that's making you stay in your house, and it's telling you it's unsafe to be around your entire community and support system.
It's like psychological warfare, almost.
It is.
I want to shift and ask you about long-term life after. Where are you on the dating scale, decision, idea?
So I dabbled in dating before COVID. So what some people might think is very quickly. I don't freaking know. I just knew that I wanted to do something that did not involve being a mom. Because like, even when you're with your friends who are moms too, you talk about your kids and your husband, like, it's just, you're still mom. So I did. And then COVID, has made that all very weird. I work from home prior to COVID. I walked to and from school to pick up my kids. other than like cruising the schoolyard, which like I may live in a city, but we live in a very small community and our school is tiny, which like that's not a viable option. Um, so like dating apps are so stupid. I don't like them. And that's not like, it's just so I don't, if should I want to date, I don't really know what my options are beyond that though.
Yeah. Smoke signals, semaphore, I don't know.
So, your podcast partner is not a widow, like you said.
Nope.
What are some things that have been valuable to you that you've learned from her experience and how you guys interact?
So our experiences, like our post kind of experiences have been very different, I think, because we're very different people. And I think they're different less even because of what we went through and just because we're very different people. But she has really leaned into minimalism and like simplifying her life and really finding joy in her life as it is. And like, and I don't know if this is a widow thing or not, but I cannot make plans. Like when people say, where do you envision yourself in 5 years? Like I couldn't even begin to fathom what that would look like. So I can't do that. But like just the way she's like really, really like gotten down to the brass tacks of what's most important to her and been able to like really focus on that is enviable to me. And I'm working on it. But I was married. Well, I guess we're not married anymore. I was married to a pack rat. So like we have a ton of stuff that, you know, trying to go through, and it's not sentimental to me. It's just, but the work of it to me, that's exhausting. I'm not a organizer or anything. So that has been just really helpful to me and something that I feel like I am in my own way working towards simplifying my life, because I think especially as a mom on your own, the more simple you can make things, the better.
That is wise advice. I have a question for you about finding joy, because a lot of us widows struggle with mental health. We lost our person. The bottom has been totally taken out from underneath us. A lot of us deal with even feelings of passive suicidality, and the struggle is real. How has your widow experience gone as far as those things go? Because finding joy is hard. And sometimes like we want to find joy and we're so depressed or we're so anxious and we want that, but we're also dealing with grief or trauma or things like that. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't know that I have any deep thoughts on that. But it's so like
it's kind of a loaded question. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's a good question.
It's just hard.
It's a hard one to answer when you're like in the throes of it, you know, for yourself, right? I think why it's so hard, or at least why it's hard for it has been what's been hard for me about finding joy is that, and what nobody talks about is like how like you are fundamentally changed when your person dies, especially. And I can only say, I say especially just because it's my experience when it's like so sudden. You are in 1 second, you like fundamentally changed. So you almost have to meet and learn yourself and learn what those things are that find you joy. Like a big thing, Christmas, I've always loved Christmas. Warren loved Christmas more than I did. I hate Christmas now. I want no part of it. I do it for my kids. I don't want to be told Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays. Like that day is not happy for me, and I'm not going to force it to be. I need to find a way to make peace with it for my children so that they can have some kind of like a piece of their dad in that day, and I'm fine with working towards that. But it's about finding what brings you joy now, and that can be really overwhelming because you kind of feel like you're starting from scratch. Reacquainting yourself with who you are now and what those things are, because it could have changed. For me, I was able to find joy kind of going back. I danced all growing up. And I even did when I lived in Los Angeles, but my life once I moved here to Toronto just wasn't conducive to finding classes, taking classes, doing that. And COVID actually allowed me to start taking classes online. And so I'm like, that's something that brings me such immense joy, is like going to class and dancing. And I don't know if I would have found my way back to that otherwise.
If you haven't seen some of Jen's dancing, she has on her Instagram, and it's pretty fun to watch some of your some of your stuff.
Yeah. What is your Instagram handle, Jen?
It's Jen_Hoffmeister_, because somebody took Jen Hoffmeister. Like there could be another one.
That is super
Rude. We're
So
going to
rude.
definitely link to your Instagram and your podcast in the show notes.
Thank you.
But we just want to thank you so much for being our guest today and for sharing your story and being here with us and all of the things. So thank you, Jen.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
We have a final question that's of utmost importance. Uttermost importance. Do you see what I did there?
Udder. Emphasis on the udder.
Miss Jen Hoffmeister, what is your favorite cheese?
All of them.
That was such a mom answer. I love them equally.
I mean, I don't know. All we get is gross, like, yellow cheddar these days because that's all the boys eat. And, like, I bought a wheel of brie and it all went bad because I didn't eat it in time.
I do like a cheddar. I like a kid's cheddar, so that's okay.
You know what? Actually, that's a good aged cheddar is amazing. And you can find one almost anywhere. And I did a cheddar tasting once where I had Vermont cheddar. I don't know, is Tillamook in Washington or Oregon? Oregon, Wisconsin, English, Irish, and Australian, and Canadian.
And who won? Which was the best?
I think the Irish was the best.
Um,
Love me some Kerrygold.
Jen, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you giving us a little bit of your time. Tell everybody where they can find your podcast.
We are the Now What Pod. We're on all listening platforms, and our website is nowwhatpod.com.
Excellent. We hope you guys will check them out. Make sure that you guys check out the Widow Wives Club. Jen is in there. It's our private Facebook group. Just make sure you answer all the questions. And if you'd like to keep the podcast going, Mel, do you want to tell them what they should do?
They should go to patreon.com/WWDN, or if that does not work for you, buy us some tacos at buymeacoffee.com/widowwedonow.
Or just give us a nice rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
For free.
I think that takes care of all the official business.
Yeah.
Until we join you again, I'm Anita.
I'm Mel.
I'm Jen.
We're just two young widows and another widow who is meeting herself again for the first time. And we are all trying to figure out widow.
We
do.
Now. This is my favorite thing to discuss with you.
Tell me, what is it?
One of my favorite things. I do enjoy tacos and cheese and dogs. This is about how you cannot pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a phone plan, especially when you're a widow, your person is dead, you might have kids, you might need another option, and you just want your phone to work, you want unlimited texting and service, and you want it to be like $25 a month.
It blows my mind that they have plans that start at $15 a month. That is so cheap. And the cool thing is it uses other 5G networks, and so you don't have to pay extra for that, and you still get great service.
Yep, Anita and I have traveled all over, and I have used my phone. So I highly recommend it, and my mom's even on it. When my dad died, we put his phone down to the cheapest plan, which is $15 a month. And I think my mom's on the $20 a month plan, and it's so worth it. It's so much cheaper than what we were all paying before. So I highly recommend it if you're on a budget or not. Who cares? Ryan Reynolds is in charge of the company, and they send you free stickers with Ryan Reynolds temporary tattoos. It's kind of the best. So if somebody wants to sign up, what can they do, Anita?
Go to trymintmobile.com/WWDN. Seriously, you guys. Such a great idea. Save yourself some money.
And if you're worried about losing data or having any changes with your phone, not going to happen. They walk you through it. Everything's fine. It's the easiest process of all time. Again, that's
trymintmobile.com/WWDN.